The Galactic Council had made its position abundantly clear. Humans were not to be trusted with sensitive diplomatic missions. They were chaos incarnate, wrapped in synthetic fibers and bad decisions. Yet here stood Elara Wynn, the sole human representative aboard the Celestial Harmony, a massive cruiser carrying delegates from 47 species to the neutral summit on Arcturus VI. Elara had learned to ignore the whispers, the sideways glances, the way Ambassador K-Threx of the Mantoid Collective would ostentatiously sanitize any surface she touched. She'd earned her place here through sheer competence, 3 doctorate degrees, and an incident involving a Vraxian warlord that the Council preferred not to discuss publicly. But nothing in her extensive training had prepared her for the Cubs. The Felrathi were apex predators from a high-gravity world, standing nearly 3 meters tall with crystalline claws and bioluminescent fur that shifted colors with their moods. Their species had conquered 17 star systems before joining the Council. They were warriors, philosophers, and most importantly, utterly committed to their honor code. The Cubs were their children, specifically Cub Heron and his 3 littermates, Cub Celix, Cub Tauren, and Cub Myra. They ranged from what Elara estimated as 6 to 9 years old in human equivalent, and they were absolutely, catastrophically bored. The human keeps strange items in her quarters, Cub Heron announced to his siblings in the observation deck, his fur rippling with orange curiosity. At 8 years old, he was the boldest of the group, with emerald eyes that gleamed with mischief. Elder Vryn says humans are dangerous, Cub Myra whispered, her smallest ears twitching nervously. That's why we should investigate, Heron declared with the ironclad logic of children everywhere. To protect the ship, the Cubs had, through means Elara would later struggle to comprehend, acquired her access codes. They'd slipped into her quarters during the 3rd shift sleep cycle, moving with the preternatural silence of their predator heritage. What they found was a treasure trove. Humans, it turned out, packed snacks for long voyages. Lots of snacks. This one radiates thermal energy, Cub Tauren observed, holding up a package of self-heating ramen. It must be a weapon. These smell of concentrated plant matter and chemical sweetness, Cub Celix noted, examining a bag of sour gummy worms with scientific precision. Possibly medicinal compounds, but it was Cub Heron who made the discovery that would change everything. Brothers, sisters. His fur blazed gold with excitement. I have found their trophy collection. In his claws, he held a small jar. Red, viscous, with a label featuring an angry-looking pepper wearing a tiny sombrero. Dave's Gourmet Insanity Sauce, handle with extreme caution. It smells, Heron breathed, his fur shifting through the entire spectrum of Felrathi emotion colors. Like triumph. The scent was intoxicating to their hypersensitive noses. Capsaicin, to a Felrathi cub's olfactory system, registered as the essence of conquered foes and glorious victory. It was the smell of honor itself. We should taste it, Heron announced. Elder Vryn says we should never consume unknown substances, Myra protested weakly. The human keeps it as a trophy, Celix countered. Therefore, consuming it will prove we are braver than the human. The logic was flawless. The cubs each took a generous serving on their claws. Elara was jolted awake at 0400 hours by an alarm she'd never heard before. The ship's medical emergency protocol, specifically calibrated for juvenile distress. She ran through the corridors in her sleep clothes, her heart hammering. When she reached the medical bay, the scene was biblical. 4 Felrathi cubs lay sprawled across examination tables, their fur cycling through colors at seizure-inducing speeds. Their bioluminescence had gone haywire, turning the medbay into a disco of agony. All 4 were panting, tongues extended, with tears streaming from their enormous eyes. Elder Vryn, the cub's guardian, turned to Elara with fury radiating from every crystalline claw. What did you do? Nothing, I was asleep. They broke into your quarters. Dr. Shalix, the ship's Aquarian physician, explained rapidly while running scanners over the whimpering cubs. They ingested something from your food stores. Something weaponized. Elara's blood ran cold. She mentally cataloged her snack inventory. Oh no. Oh no. Tell me they didn't. Dave's insanity sauce, Cub Heron wailed, his voice cracking with despair. We thought it was a trophy of conquest. You ate my hot sauce? It smelled like victory, Heron sobbed. Like honor and glory, and he dissolved into incoherent mewling. Elder Vrin's claws extended fully. You brought poison aboard this ship. It's not poison. It's food. For humans. Humans eat pain? Dr. Shalix looked horrified. For fun, Elara admitted. Look. I can fix this. I have. She stopped. Do you have milk? Any kind of dairy-based cooling agent? 20 minutes later, the medical bay had been converted into an impromptu ice cream social. Elara had raided the ship's stores for anything containing casein proteins, and the cubs lay in various states of recovery, each with a container of frozen tritium cream, close enough to Earth ice cream for practical purposes. Cub Heron's fur had finally stabilized to a deep, embarrassed purple. Some humans like it even hotter, Elara confirmed. The cubs stared at her with newfound respect and a trace of terror. Our elders were correct, Cub Selix whispered. Humans are terrifying. Elder Vrin approached Elara, his massive form towering over her. For a long moment, she thought she might not survive the diplomatic incident. Then, incredibly, he began to laugh, a deep, rumbling sound that shook the deck plates. You consume agony for pleasure. You sleep beside weapons of sensory destruction. You rescue foolish cubs who invade your territory. He placed one massive paw on her shoulder. Perhaps humans are exactly what the Council needs. Cub Heron looked up at Elara with streaming eyes. Will you teach me to endure the burning trophy sauce? Absolutely not. Please. When I am grown, I wish to consume pain like humans do. To prove my courage, Elara sighed, looking at the pleading faces of all 4 cubs. Ask me again in 10 years. And next time, she fixed Heron with a stern look. When a human says, don't eat that, maybe listen. Cub Heron's fur flickered with sheepish gold. Yes, human Elara. But, can you explain why it smelled so much like triumph? Elara smiled. Because sometimes, kid, the greatest victories are the ones we survive. The cubs considered this wisdom while nursing their frozen treats, and Elara made a mental note to keep her hot sauce collection under lock and key, at least until they were old enough to appreciate the true meaning of humanity's favorite motto. Hold my beer and watch this. For now, don't eat that would have to suffice.